All right. Let's try this. Let's try this. Hey, I've got levels. Put the microphone down. I've got levels. I'm going to share this now. Let's try this again. Welcome to Hobby Evolution. Episode 583, going to talk about the Madison Card Show from yesterday. Okay, just typing in, waiting for people. Hello. Can you hear me now? I hear you. Okay. So I just selected the computer audio this time around because I didn't want to chance it with the Yeti. So I don't even know where I left off. Can talk Madison Card Show. Madison Card Show yesterday. The link to the walkthrough. You sound great. You look like it's 1975. I hope that's a joke and I don't look fuzzy and in analog. So Dan is with us. John, Leo, Cooter, good morning. Again, good morning again to most of you. So Madison Card Show was yesterday. By the way, if you're wondering, if you're watching, I deleted the other video, so you're probably wondering, what in the heck is this guy talking about? I video this video 20 minutes in, the audio cut out, and we could not figure out what was going on with my audio. So this is 2. So I'll skip over some things that I talked about in video 1 that will be lost in the clouds somewhere. John said we were only kidding. You're all fine the whole time. I hope that's a joke also. I hope that's a joke also. Although I did not have levels. I did not have levels, so I don't know. But more like free AV on scrambled cable. So hopefully you can hear me, and hopefully before you could not hear me, and I was muted somehow. Anyway, Madison Card Show yesterday. I think I was going through the routine. I had my Dunkin', had my sandwich, went to the venue at about 6 a.m. Ran into hiccup. And they actually, the venue offered me a couple of weeks ago. I was going to have 150 tables because there was room in all 3 ballrooms. And they said, and John makes a great point. Yes, StreamYard is much better. Here's the issue I have with StreamYard. I don't know how to, is there a way to both put a thumbnail for your YouTube channel and get it monetized through StreamYard? I haven't figured that out. Is there a way to do that? Because that's why I'm hesitant to do live streams on StreamYard, because it makes my YouTube, it doesn't do some of the YouTube stuff. So that's why if I could get that figured out, I would probably use StreamYard every day. But because of those reasons, I don't. Let's see. Dance is better than my screw up of talking to John for 20 minutes without realizing I didn't go live. That's awesome. I do need to rewatch. I jumped in just for about 2 or 3 minutes on Friday night. So I need to go back and watch the replay. Let's see. Leo says sound is a 5, maybe moan a little. Monetized. My money disappears when cards and card talk are involved. So I got to the venue right before 6, about 5:45. Started getting the signs and everything, and you kind of take for granted, like, even the little things. It's like Saturday morning, Friday, I'm thinking, all I got to do is set up these signs and then the registration boxes. And then when you get there, it's like, man, this is kind of it's a little more time consuming than what I had anticipated. And especially when people start coming in, if they start rolling in 6:30, 6:45, and then you're, taking care of that, and, maybe a table to get moved here or there. So almost immediately I ran into an issue. And again, the hotel, the venue is set up for 100, it has space for 150 tables. The problem, they don't have 150 tables, but they initially told me when I booked that third room, we have 175, 180 tables. I'm like, sweet, let's do it. Booked that third room. Couple weeks later, they say, well, we've been doubling up tables. The upstairs tables are doubled up. And I'm like, okay, we need to continue doing that. And then, we'll make it work downstairs. Little did I know, they're like the skinny table. They're basically the small, actually this is probably wider. They're like the tables back here. You can't really see. You can't see the depth of them, but they're 6 foot by 18 inches. And most, tables are 6 by 3. So ran into that, and I had, some dealers that were not happy with that. I did take a late cancel, and at this point, I was using all of their tables. So there was nothing I could do, at that point in time. Although I took a late cancel, so I was able, the one guy that was complaining, I said, I just took a late cancel, so I've got one, I can double up this table for you. So that was the first issue. The second issue, I had a dealer come up, and I'm like, what's your name? And I didn't recognize the name. And I'm looking through, and I'm like, oh, I don't have you on the list today. And he's like, oh, I booked with you a couple months ago. And that was on me because I didn't make note of it back then. And typically I only schedule 1 month out because there's so much. And that's what I've run into is when I book far out, those are the people that tend to forget themselves and not show up. So I like doing it 1 month at a time. And then if it's a newer person, then I can do a follow-up the week of. So we went downstairs, and in the third room, was only about half capacity with what we can actually fit in the room. So there's plenty of space in that third ballroom. So now this room hosts weddings. So they have the huge round wedding tables. So I went into storage and pulled one of those out for him. Fortunately, there was a tablecloth because they are just beat to hell. So I was able to get him set up. And then now it's getting close, the dealers, are coming in, and all of a sudden, I've got some empty tables, and I know one of my dealers, he's always about an hour late. So I always send him a courtesy at 9 o'clock. Hey man, what's your ETA? You're going to be fighting the crowd when you set up. And you're going to be losing out on 2 hours of money because people start showing up early. So I was going around, and first were the dealers that I didn't know. Those were the ones I was reaching out to first. I had something happen that I had actually 2 firsts for this show. The first that I actually mentioned, I think on Friday's show, which I did pull him off the list for no confirmation. And to my knowledge, he never showed up. So that was a good move to just pull him, because I had a dealer that I know, and I know he's reliable and dependable, and he's from the Chicago area. So it's not like I could call him up on Saturday morning. Hey man, I got some open tables. He's like, you're a little too late now. So I was able to reach out to him yesterday and say, hey, I've got 2 tables open. So that was a good move, because I would have been ticked if, I just, okay, hopefully he shows. And he didn't show. So that was the first. So I pulled him off the list for no confirmation in poor communication. Second first that happened yesterday morning, I had a guy come in, and I took him to his tables. Now I didn't have my map on me, so I couldn't remember which room he was in. So it was kind of like, oh, let's go here. Nope. Let's go here. Here's your tables. And he never came back to set up. I'm curious if Rich has ever had that happen. Have you ever had a dealer show up and then leave without even setting up? Did not even set up a thing. Just left. I've never had that happen. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening. No shows, late cancels. Absolutely. But somebody actually coming up and then leaving? I hope he's okay. I hope it wasn't like a health emergency. I have reached out to him. I reached out to him, later in the show because during the show, I've got so much going on. It's a new person and I can't remember everybody. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, are you coming? And then towards the end of the show, I'm like, wait, that name sounds familiar. And then all of a sudden, as things like my mind slows down a little bit, wait, I remember because it was memorable because I took him to like two different rooms, or the wrong room first before the correct room. I'm still baffled by how that went down. Leo says probably need to specify table dimensions in contract with the hotel. Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of there's been miscommunication throughout between my contact and the actual people who, because she's not involved with the actual setup process and all that. But yes, and now I know. I definitely know, and I know my buddies down in Rockford ran into a similar situation with a new venue. So that's something you learn along the way. Jenny says, LOL, what room was he in? Did he not like the location? I don't know. I showed him the tables and he seemed cool with it. He was in the second room. The second room that's been there, we've had at the show for a few months now. It wasn't the third room, it was the second room, which there's 35 tables, 36 I think tables in that room. So it's not like it's just a few tables. And the people that were the people in the third room where there ended up being I think 15 tables, they were happy in there for the most part. I think probably a couple people were like, but for the most part, I think they did an okay time, had an okay time. At least from what they told me. Was this his first show? Yeah. And I think all of the no shows were first time. Actually, no. One of them set up last month. Last month was his first time. Not sure what happened there. Let's see. Cooter says, did he pay before he left? No money was exchanged. And that's another, I don't like doing. So this has been something that has been talked about. And my wife and I discuss it, every month. Do an online form of payment, pay deposits, and it gets messy. And today, this weekend, I'm not as upset. Last month I was upset because I took so many late cancels and I had a huge waiting list last month. And so many of those that were on the waiting list would have shown up and were dependable for them, at least half of them or more. And so that's what irked me last month, was because I had the opportunity to give those tables to good dealers. But this month I didn't really have a waiting list. I had a couple people on the waiting list, but I had a couple late, I had a couple, not late, but a couple cancels during the week that I was able to fill those spots. And going into the show, I didn't have. Now, could I have promoted, the week of, like, hey, I've got tables. The one thing that I like is follow-ups and overbooking. So I overbooked and that worked out because I had people drop and it evened out. And so I was overbooked as of, I think, Thursday night. I was overbooked. And then I took one or two cancels on Friday. No, just one. I think just one cancel on Friday. I was able to move one person up. And then the non-confirmation, I was able to move, a guy with two tables to get in. So the overbooking worked. The confirmations worked because doing the confirmations, I found out the one guy wasn't going to show up. So I was able to weed out the bad apples. And also I was going to text you. I forgot to text you. I can't make it. And so it's like, were you going to forget up until Saturday morning at 10 when I text you and ask? So that's in the note. And so you ask, well, yeah, you still had no shows. Those were people I didn't follow. Missed following up with. And so I need to have a little more due diligence with who exactly and make note of confirmed. And there was, one of them was a total miscommunication. Actually, a dealer from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I told him I was going to put him on the list. And here's another thing I learned: how I communicate. And to be a little more clear, I told him I was going to put him on the list. He assumed that meant the waiting list, which it didn't. It meant you have tables. So when I say the list, I need to be more what's the term I'm looking for? I need to be more aware of, how I communicate. You're on the list. You have tables confirmed. You are confirmed with tables. So I just need, in my communication, I need to be more clear that yes, you are in the show. You have tables. So instead of saying list, so what's the list? Does that mean I'm on the waiting list? Does that mean I'm on the contact list? So I just need to be, I need to watch what I say. Let's see. Cooter says people will continue to abuse cancellations until they already have skin in the game. Definitely. And it's always, cancels and no shows. I don't think I've ever had like a regular that I know that's set up at least 2 times, because I think a relationship kind of develops after 2 times. Leo says I'd put unknown dealers on the wait list and take care of the ones will show for sure. That's, in theory, that's a good idea, but in practice, it doesn't really work out, because a lot of I have first timers that are great. At some point, all of these guys were, for me, first timers. And I've got a ton of great, I complain about the no shows and the late cancels, but all in all, very large majority are great dealers. And at one time they were unknown to me and they were first time. It's kind of like eBay. It's kind of like eBay feedback. Be wary of the zero feedback. That's usually where you run into problems, the low feedback and the zero feedback. But we all started there. We were all there. All the good eggs on eBay were at 0 at one point in time. But at the same time, that tends to be where the issues occur. Concise. That's a good word. Yeah. Jenny says, I watched replay video you did. I noticed a ton of showcases, not so many bargain boxes. Is that different from previous? And why didn't you buy a thing? Good questions. Yeah, there's a lot of showcases. There were actually more bargain boxes this show. Typically, there's only 2 or 3 tables with bargain boxes at the show, at the Madison Card Show. It is not a bargain box show, which that's usually why I don't buy much, because there's not too many bargain boxes. This show actually had several bargain boxes, especially in relation to previous shows. Let's see. I've got one of my guys who, he was a first timer about 3 months ago. He's become one of my great dealer. And he's, up in the main room now. He's got great bargain boxes. And there were, in fact, I think he might be the guy that's in the thumbnail. People looking at his bargain boxes. So he's a fairly new dealer to this show with bargain boxes. So actually there were a lot more bargain boxes at this show than in previous shows. Usually there's only, 2 or 3. Jeff was down in the Williamson ballroom. He's got some good dime boxes and quarter boxes. Craig upstairs. I had a first timer, Bill, that was in the third ballroom. He had a mix of both vintage and vintage bargain boxes. And then another new guy, Gary, had bargain boxes as well. And then there's other regulars that have bargain boxes with their normal showcases and other stuff. So this show actually had a good amount of bargain boxes, which that's something that's been, not as much. And that's probably when I set up, that's probably why I get so much business at my tables, because, I'm at the time I was one of the only bargain box dealers. Your next question is that, why you didn't buy a thing? So not so many bargain boxes. Is that different from previous? And why you didn't buy a thing? There just wasn't really. It's not that I was Well, actually, I really wasn't looking for anything because I've bought so much in the last 2 weeks. The Goodwill pallet, which my rec room is still filled with stuff. My Goodwill pallet, I'm still going through the $300 collection that I bought 2 weeks ago at the Rockford show. I'm still going, or I've gone through that, but I haven't listed anything from that. And then the stuff I bought in Green Bay last week, I'm slowly listing some of the bargain box cards I bought at the Green Bay card show. And then I'm going to do a video on the Bears boxes that they're sitting there. I haven't even really gone through them yet until I do the video. So I really wasn't looking to buy anything. It was basically if an opportunity presented itself, I would have pulled the trigger if it was the right deal, but there just wasn't a right deal. I looked through some bargain boxes, just didn't find. I didn't have much time either to look through bargain boxes, and that's probably what I would have angled, for, a pile of cards. But there just wasn't anything that really tripped my trigger. And I wasn't really looking to buy, and I just didn't have the time. So those are some of the reasons why. Let's see. Yeah, you can't put first timers on the wait list when you have space. Can open yourself up to discrimination. Not really discrimination, but I think it's, people just, you don't know, like, some of my regulars, it's like I should be in for the next show. And basically how I handle the main room, it's always sold out with my regulars that are up there. And there's kind of a rotation because I've got some regulars that they'll miss a month or two, but they're back in. And then, it usually works out that there's kind of a good balance. And, I've got guys that have, 2 tables, like, I want a third table. And I'm like, I can get you a third table, but it's probably going to be downstairs. Or I can get you a third table next month, but it's going to be over there and it's only going to be for 1 month. So I think, and I even told one of my guys who has 2 tables in the main room at the end of the show, he's like, hey, what about a third table? And I'm like, I can do a third table downstairs. That's the best I can do. And I go, you're better off having 2 tables up here than 3 tables downstairs, in my opinion. And I don't think there's any surprise. It's just less traffic downstairs. And that's something that I've noticed and why I don't want to do a third room. It really breaks up the show too much. I had, especially in the morning, at 9:30, early on in the show, people come into the hotel on the main floor. So they go to the first floor rooms and it's pretty dead upstairs. And so the upstairs dealers, man, it's really slow, but it's like, well, it's pretty busy downstairs. But then by 11, 12 o'clock, all of the downstairs traffic goes upstairs and they just kind of stay the rest of the afternoon upstairs. And then it dies around lunchtime in the downstairs rooms. So I'll still continue to do a second room downstairs on the main floor, just because as long as there's demand, and I think there's still going to be demand for that second room. But the third room is out just based on the table issue. And, basically I think I broke even or took a loss on that room, on that third room. And it's not worth the headache of the smaller tables. And it's just not worth breaking up the show even more. Let's see. Jenny says, are you listing mainly baseball right now? I think I'll start football again in July. Yes. I'm still mainly doing baseball. Although I'll probably do, just because I'm especially with the Bears cards that I picked up, I want to get those up. I'll probably do, I did a wrestling, some of those WCW cards. It's kind of what I have a big pile of. So right now, yeah, it's mainly baseball. Let's see. Baseball card curmudgeon. Good morning to you. Jenny says, what's your plan for summer shows in terms of rooms? Do you plan to go back to 3 rooms in the fall? No more 3-room shows. This is going to be the one and only 3-room show. Just because the tables are small. I can only get 15 tables in that third room. It breaks up the show. So it's not worth it. So I'd rather have a waiting list. And again, I'm just going to have to be careful with who's actually in the show. And I will have to pick and choose if it comes down to it. I think the summer months, I know June's going to be tough because there's a lot of people that are out in June. And in July might be a tough month as well. I noticed last summer, the show started to grow in June. And I think that's when I hit 40 tables for the first time. April and May. April was like 17 tables. May, I think, was 24. Maybe June was 35. And I don't think I hit 40 tables until August or September. So I had, all of a sudden, we went from like 24 tables to 35. And the June crowd sucked. The June crowd sucked. I was still figuring out Facebook marketing and advertising. So that had a lot to do with it. Once I got that figured out, it really jumped the crowd. Then July, I thought July was going to be a terrible show. I had less vendors, but I had a huge crowd for considering, in comparison, July was a big crowd last summer. So it's very interesting. And I'll use the same term that I used reviewing the Green Bay card show last week, was like all the dealers that I talked to, it was okay. Like that was like the term that everybody used. It was okay. And I know that sounds like generic. Well, that's probably what everybody says at every show, but it's not. And it like the third dealer that said that, it's like, wow. So, that's how I would describe yesterday's Madison Card Show. It was okay. The traffic was down. It's Memorial Day. It's a holiday weekend. The weather was really nice. So I think that takes a lot into consideration. A lot of my regular customers weren't there. Just faces that you normally see. So the crowd was still good. The crowd was okay. It was good, but okay. So I think it was just okay. And I think okay is going to be the new norm until fall. And a lot of dealers that I've talked with, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I'll be in until like August or September. I've heard a lot of that. And just dealers in general, like, I probably won't do another show until September or August. So I think that's going to be kind of the norm over the next couple months. Let's see. So to answer Jenny's question, it'll just be 2 rooms and it's going to be on demand. I fortunately the venue the Sheraton works with me, and, I can, I'll probably just go ahead, I'm not under contract on those other rooms. It's just kind of a month by month basis. The main ballroom, that's under contract on all the card show dates for this year. So the second room, and they're like, if it's open, you can book it. So hopefully it stays open, because I can definitely use it. DR says, have you ever done a survey from the dealers to get feedback, or is it always through conversation? It's always through conversation. I think when you start getting formal with questionnaires and feedback, if a promoter handed me like a card for feedback or had a form online, I wouldn't fill it out. So I think it would just be, I don't know. It's always, and here's the thing, I can get enough feedback through conversation than a formal, questionnaire. If there's an issue, and every month there's going to be something new that can be improved upon, and, something that's popped up. Usually it's temperatures of the room, and that's going to be, no matter card shows, trade shows, whatever, there's always going to be an issue with the thermostat, because some people are cold-blooded, some people are warm-blooded. Sometimes when it is like, if there is an issue and like everybody's sweating and hot, then it's okay, we can talk about it. But yesterday, we didn't really have an issue with that, which was good, because it was super hot in that second room last month. So that's something that's beyond my control. Somebody did bring it up yesterday, and I'm like, I can talk to him about it. I know the answer because I've talked to him about it before. Because they're like, yeah, it was kind of warm at times up here, and I'm like, just wait till July because the air conditioner is going to be cranked and you're going to want a hoodie or a jacket because it's going to be really warm downstairs and it's on the same circuit or whatever. My dog's going crazy upstairs. So I get enough feedback just through conversation and, even from customers that walk the show floor, like whether it's signage or whatnot. Something that was brought up yesterday that I can probably control is trash cans. There's not a single trash can in any of the rooms, which I didn't even really think. Scott, great dealer, he goes, hey, can you maybe get a trash can next month? And I'm like, I didn't dawn on me. You're having to walk all the way out to the hallway by the elevators for trash cans. So it's little things like that, so, Turkey Cards, it's great to see your show is in such demand. Thank you very much. Show here picks and chooses by making sure there's a variety of dealers like vintage, modern. Basically, he makes sure there's all sports and years within the show by asking his dealers what they have. Absolutely. I do that to an extent, but I don't pick and choose. I don't want to get into that because I have great dealers that they may have stuff and I have enough space where it's not like I have 100 people on a waiting list. So I'm in a good position where there's enough demand. But I don't need to pick and choose based on inventory. I can pick and choose based on, okay, has this guy canceled on me in the past? Does he have, and I'll reach out to, a few of my dealers are show promoters themselves. Hey, have you, and I do this a lot. Hey, have you ever heard of this guy? And sometimes, no, I've never heard of him. Okay, well, I'm going to put him on the waiting list instead of, a table right away. Let's see. Jenny says, speaking of contract, do you see continuing this show at the Sheraton in 2023, or will you look at a different venue such as a school gym? I will absolutely talk to the Sheraton again for next year. We're actually going to be talking 2023 schedule here soon, because it's, here's the thing about hosting card shows, especially if you go to a school gym. A lot of either they don't have enough tables, or the tables you're in charge of setup. Like, yeah, you can have we have X amount of table, and some only have 50 tables. So then it's a downgrade. And you don't have carts available. And, there's a lot of like little things that the Sheraton takes care of, and setup being one of them. I don't have to do a dang thing unless there's that I need to move tables around, which is pretty easy. I don't have to set up 130 tables, 120 tables. So absolutely we'll go to the Sheraton. There's a lot of things in promoting a show that, there's a lot that's involved. And, I just started promoting a card show for the first time last April. And I, fortunately I got lucky, with both timing and venue. I hit the lottery with the venue because they're awesome to work with. And it's like, I don't have to do any setup. I can come in the morning and I do pre-setup, put tags down and all that. They have the tables, 125, I think, is how many we can get in. There's hotel carts. There's, hey, if you want lunch, there's sandwiches downstairs in the cafe you can buy. There's water and pop downstairs. So there's, amenities like that, that are available. So once you start going in the price is right, it's not a losing venture. It's not like I have to sell out all my tables just to make a few bucks. But it's not like, and you're not getting rich on it either. It's just it's almost like a card community service to promote a show, because a lot of work goes into it. Once you start drifting away, you look at other venues with bigger spaces, and you're going to be paying a lot of money. Now you're going to have to charge more for tables. You're going to have to charge admission or more for admission. They may not have enough tables. You may have to set them up. So there's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. And fortunately, it's pretty easy for me at this venue. Let's see. LOL. I sound like another YouTuber here asking all these questions. That makes total sense as long as the dealers are comfortable telling you the truth to your face and you get a good vibe. And I think over time, like, there's some dealers that they'll tell you how it is the moment you meet them. There's some that are a little more reserved, and they'll wait until you develop a relationship after a couple months of shows. And some people just don't share. And I think for the most part, most card dealers are willing to share their opinion. If you've ever talked to dealers at a card show, there's not too many shy card dealers that won't share their opinion. So I'm not worried about that. Jenny says 15 months into a show and not one person said there's no trash can. Now that's funny. I did have, it's been brought up in the past upstairs in the upstairs room. But it was like several months ago. It's not something that's ever really brought up. I think maybe one person mentioned it to me because when Scott told me yesterday about it, it's like, oh yeah, I think somebody did mention that to me a while ago. So it's obviously after 15 shows, it's not a big concern, but it's one of those little things that it's like, yeah, it would be nice to have a trash can in here. Let's see. Do you think you see more kids at your show because you have the free admission? No, I don't think that. I don't think the free admission really, because if I did $1 admission, I don't think that's holding anybody back. I think there's more kids at the show because there's just more kids in the hobby. There's a lot of kids in the hobby. I mean, and there's several. I'm trying to think of an accurate count of dealers who set up that are kids. And when I say kids, I mean high school age and maybe early college. I bet yesterday there were, let's see, Jack's a regular and he's a high school kid. Remy's probably college age. There's a dad that brings his two sons. The dad just comes along as like adult supervision, and his kids are probably junior high, and they're the dealers. Dad's just there hanging out with the kids, making sure they're, I don't know, behaving, I guess. I don't know. So there's a lot of kids that they're just involved in the hobby. And most of the kids most of the kids have much better cards than I had, and probably all of us here had when we were that age. I know for personally, that's a fact. Of course, we didn't have all these numbered cards, autograph cards, chrome shiny stuff back in 1989. But I couldn't have, it's, the big card back in the day, the Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie or the Jose Canseco rated rookie. I didn't have anything like that. And kids today even take into it inflation. They've got some smoking cards. My buddy Ryan came to the show yesterday with his nephew, and his nephew's, I don't know, 11, 12. And he just submitted a card for the first time to PSA. It's like a Zion 1 of 1. And he's, several $1,000 card. He's like 11 years old. Let's see. Staying at the Sheraton is a good choice, in my opinion. Out-of-towners can just wake up and head downstairs to the show. Definitely. And that does ease a lot of travel stress, because I stayed at the hotel where the Green Bay Card Show was last week. Yes, and for me, I'm selling bargain box stuff, so I've got to sell a lot of cards just to break even. But there was so much less stress because it's, 2.5 hour drive for me. I'd have to wake up, I want to the show starts at 9. I want to be there by 7:30, probably 7, because I don't know the area or the venue. So I'm looking at leaving at 4:30 in the morning. So I'm waking up at 4, staying at the hotel seems like a much better option than waking up at 4 a.m. to drive 3 hours to a unknown place. So Leo says, did we do an intro video from John Nolan for John Nolan Drive? No, but I should. I totally should. We talk about John Nolan Drive, 706 John Nolan Drive, Sheraton Hotel, so much. It was a happening street yesterday with Broadfest and the Madison Card Show. Jenny says, with nice weather, Memorial Day, it's hard to say if gas prices factor the lower traffic, but would expect that to impact the summer shows. I see prices going down in fall. Here's what I don't think gas prices are having any impact on card show traffic as much as maybe a sprinkle here and there. What's affecting card show traffic now is weather and summer, weather, number one. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, I'm not doing a show like me. I promote a card show and I sell cards full time. I'm not doing a card show, setting up at a card show until probably August. Because I've got summer stuff going on. I've got a wedding and Anawan Fun Days next weekend. I've got a summer birthday party the following weekend. I'm going to take that third weekend in June off. And then I've got the Madison Card Show, which I won't set up. And then July, I've got stuff going on that, the shows that I normally would attend, I can't attend. So it's probably August, the next show I do. So if that's impacting me as a full-time card seller, just imagine how it's affecting the average customer that just on a Saturday in February in Madison, Wisconsin, what else are you going to do? February in Wisconsin. Might as well go to the card show. It's inside, it's warm. But in June, July, August, Memorial Day weekend, I'd rather, and even me as a full-time, like the thought of a card show all day in a hotel just doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather be over at Bratfest, sitting in the sun, having a beer and a brat, rather than shopping for cards. Maybe that's not very promoter-like of me to say that, but hey, it is what it is. It's the truth. Like, I live in Wisconsin. We get 4 months of nice weather, so I want to enjoy it and be outside. Let's see. Did you see any of your dealers buying large lots from your other dealers? Yeah, there was a lot of, I know a couple dealers mentioned to me that they're like, I kind of had slow sales, but I sold, $2,000 worth of stuff to another dealer. There was a lot of dealer to dealer transactions, which always helps, if it's a slower traffic day, lesser sales. Hey, if you get dealers and dealers dealing, it's good. And there's a few guys that, they're wheeling and dealing every show. So there's typically a lot of that. Let's see. DR says admission fees by me are $5 a show. So bring 3 kids. That's $20 right off the bat. That's why I asked. That's pricey, I think, I guess it depends on the size of the show. I think once, I don't know. And I go back and forth. Like, I do agree with Rich. I think $1 admission, I think that should, because that's a good, it's a good barometer of attendance. But my venue's not set up for admission because I have multiple entries. Now I have multiple rooms. Like even the main ballroom, there's 2 ways to go into the show. So you have to have people collecting money in like 4 different places, which just isn't feasible. So that's why I don't charge admission. If it's a little more contained, then absolutely. If my show was more contained to upstairs, I would probably do $1 admission. But it's just not. So Jenny says, Dan, I think if a show charges, kids should get in free. February in Wisconsin, snowmobile, ice fishing, snowshoe, cross-country ski, go to the ER with frostbite, that kind of stuff, right? I can see the national charging. I don't see other shows charging. I ain't paying to walk into Walmart to see if they got boxes of cards I want. I used to think I don't mind paying. If it's a big show, like Chicago, it's the Spectacular. It's like $12 or $15 to get in, but it's big enough that I feel it's a good value for me. But what I learned at the last show, now it's like, so for me, it's not just if I lived nearby, if I lived in Rosemont or Des Plaines or near the show and I didn't have to pay tolls or drive 2 hours, and gas is in the equation, parking, to walk into the Chicago Spectacular, I'm looking at, say it's 12. I think it was $12 the last time I went, $12. Parking is $15. That's $27. I think it's about $10 in tolls to drive there, $37. And gas is about $4.25 here. Whatever gas is multiplied by the gallons, I don't know, get 20, 25 gallons to the tank, per gallon. It's a lot of money just to walk in the show. And in last November was the last time I went to the Chicago Spectacular. And I only bought from two bargain box dealers, one of which is the Freeport Card Shop, which I go to about every 3 months and dig through there's no tolls and it's just an hour drive, no admission. And the other bargain box is a guy that sets up regularly at the Oak Creek show. Now, I don't get to Oak Creek that often, but if I really wanted to, I'd rather drive an hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes to Oak Creek than spend $75, $80 to walk in the Chicago Spectacular. So that's kind of how I see it. Some shows it's worth it. I think the Spectacular is worth the price of admission, but they can't control all the other, that's on me. I'm the one that lives 2 hours away. I'm the one that has to pay for parking. That's the promoter can't, it's like when you complain about going to the ballpark and it's like, well, I'm spending $250. And it's like, well, don't buy the beer, eat before you go. And I know that's part of the game, but it's like you're paying admission to the game. Tickets are kind of crazy expensive, but anyway, so I can see it both ways, but I'm kind of, on the fence. I'd charge admission if I had a better setup. But I don't, and it's no sweat. And it's not a money thing. It's for me. And I know Rich also says it's about, you can ask people to leave if there's an issue. Fortunately in 15 months, I haven't had that happen. It's always a numbers game. Yeah, you might have that happen next month. You never know. But for me, it's more of it's not a money thing. It's more of I know how many people were at the show, because now it's just like, I don't know how many people showed up. But I did charge admission the first 2 months of the show and had about 250 people. And so that gave me, and now I see there's 5 times as many people coming through. So at least I know, I have a sense of, okay, if there were 250 people last May, I know there was a lot more people, 4 to 5 times as many people at this show, the last show, whatever. Let's see. Leo says dealers won't like admissions. It will take away from their sales. Good morning, Jeremy. Set up at the Sheraton. Can't you ask people to leave if there's an issue because they are on Sheraton's private property without it? Probably. It's technically a public event, even though it's on private. I'm sure there's precedence both ways on the matter. Hopefully I never have to learn, but I'm sure it wouldn't be like a make or break type of situation. Leo says parking is more expensive than cheap seats at Dodger Stadium. Gotta love Frank McCourt. So the rest of the Madison Card Show. So yeah, I had a few no-shows. Let's see. Slower traffic. I would say it was an okay day. Most of my complaints from dealers came in the morning and not in the afternoon. So they left happy. That's what I want. They can show up grumpy because the tables are too small and they haven't had their coffee yet. But as long as they leave happy, that's what's key. And nobody was grouchy when they left. That's key. DR says even the small 30-table hotel show, $5. That's a ripoff. That is a freaking ripoff. I would not go to that show just on principle. That's crazy. So what else? So yeah, so the video, I did a live walkthrough yesterday morning. Showed off most of the tables that I could without, going through people. So that video, I think, is linked in the description. So check that out. Jenny asks, how many brats did you have? I ate as many brats as cards I bought. 0. Did not buy a thing. I did come home with stuff. I had I think two vendors gave me stuff. And then Craig, I mentioned you in the first video that is now deleted because I ran into audio issues. So I met Craig and his son. So we talked eBay. They're bargain box hunters as well. So they found some good deals in bargain boxes. So he gave me some Cubs cards. I didn't bring them downstairs. One of my dealers, Colton, brought me some Cubs plaques and some Cubs baseballs. So he's always finding some stuff and bringing that stuff to me. And then my buddy John, the old wax pack guy, he gave me some vintage Cubs. So I'll have to show those off tomorrow as well. So he was trying to give me like a pack of Doctor Who, and I'm like, thank you, but I'll pass. He's like, it's free, and I'm like, no, thank you. So yeah, all in all, it was a good time. Okay, crowd turnout, but a fun show. And friendly reminder for all eBay buyers and sellers, no mail tomorrow. Absolutely, it is Memorial Day. I had the issue I run into when I sell minor league cards like Heritage Miners or Bowman is they want them like now. They want them yesterday because they didn't plan, because they're going to autograph this minor league team. They didn't plan ahead. I'm like, can you get it to me by June 6th? And it's like, well, this is Memorial Day. The card's not going to ship until Tuesday. I can't guarantee it's going to get there by June 6th because USPS isn't that reliable. And so they, because they said, if you can get it to me by June 6th, I'll buy it at your counter offer. And I'm like, it's $1.30. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get this by June 6th, because if I did, it's not going to show up and then you're going to want a refund. And it's a freaking $1.30. So I'm not going to guarantee it's going to get there. And it probably, just to avoid any headaches, it's not going to be delivered by June 6th. Jenny says, aren't you Amazon Prime? I am. Let's see. So yeah. So I think that's about it. I think I touched on everything. Let me think. There is a Janesville card show today. I will not be going. I'll be doing yard work. My allergies are kicking my butt. Took the dog for a walk when I got home. Like, hey, I'm going to have a beer out on the patio. And I just started sneezing. So tomorrow morning might be a little rough. So we'll see, because I'm going to do mow today, and this afternoon I'm going to get my tomato plants put in the garden. Hopefully they have them at my nursery. So might do a little garden talk tomorrow morning. So I think that's about all I had for today. Again tonight, and I don't know if I mentioned this on this video or the one that got deleted. There were registration boxes in each of the 3 rooms. So if you were at the Madison Card Show, yesterday and you signed up, that giveaway will be drawn live here on this YouTube channel. I'm about to sneeze at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. Central tonight. I'll do a live video for the giveaways. A couple Bowman mega boxes. I've got a 2021 Bowman Chrome mega box and a 2021 Bowman mega box. Those will be given away. 2 books, Beauty at Short by Tom Alicia, local author, a book about Hall of Famer Dave Bancroft. So I'm going to give 2 of those books away, and a PSA or SGC submission courtesy 5-star cards. So those are the 5 items that will be given away live tonight, 7 p.m. here on this YouTube channel. Tune in for that. I'm about to sneeze, so I'm going to have to head out. I thought there was one other thing. This week, Jenny asks, 7 a.m. tomorrow, probably. I don't really have holiday time anymore. So tomorrow is just Monday for me. So 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, as normal. So if you want to sleep in and watch the replay, go for it. But I will be live at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And every morning. So actually, I'm going to be off 2 days next weekend. So there's not going to be a show on Sunday. Next Sunday, no show. And next Monday morning, no show, because I will be back in my hometown. So I'll be heading there Saturday afternoon for a wedding. And then it's Anawan Fun Days. The parade is on Sunday, and I usually hang out and stay Sunday night. And so I'll be back on the road Monday. So no shows next Sunday and Monday. Let's see. What else? So some other videos coming up. I don't think there's anything else I'm going to do on the Goodwill palette. I found some other good stuff. There's actually another box that there might be some good stuff. I don't think I'm going to do another though. I will be doing a video on the Chicago Bears cards that I bought in the Green Bay card show last weekend. So I'll be going live maybe some point this week, some evening this week, maybe Wednesday night. That's been kind of my prime time live. Wasn't that a show? Prime time? Is that still on? Whatever happened? Was that Barbara Walters prime time live? So that's when I've been going live in the prime time on Wednesdays. So I possibly this Wednesday will do the Chicago Bears dig on live YouTube. DR says, have you decided on the national? I have not. I've made an internal decision, but it's not confirmed yet. So I will do a video on it, though. I will do a video on that. So that might come next week. So that's what I had for today. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, regular time, 7 a.m. Central, for Hobby Evolution. Thanks for watching. And I'll be on tonight, 7 p.m. Central, for the Madison Card Show giveaways. So tune into that. Thanks again, and we'll chat tomorrow morning for